Greetings, dear ones. This is Friday, the 6th of June, 6/6/25. And I apologize for a couple minutes late. The intention was to be on Zoom and stream to Facebook, but for some reason they would not allow me to do that. Facebook would not. And I'm sure it's just a technical glitch, but I will straighten it out for next time because what I would like to do is invite you to participate in the Zoom call section so that you can ask questions and ask for clarifications or meanings or what have you. So I really want this to be open for a very interactive and participative event from here on. I'm also going to be doing some interviews of people who are making a difference in the world. In a futuristic way. So, and those who are exploring ancient ways, whether it's indigenous ways or there's a lot of new information on farming from ancient processes. So things like that are going to be up and coming as well. If you know of anyone or if you yourself are involved in something that is creating the new earth, whether physically, food wise, even healing wise, although this is more about our daily life that everyone can access and find out more about and get involved. So please drop me a line either on email, Andrea at healersuniverse.com, or on Facebook. Please private message me, or Instagram, or please just give me a call. My phone number is accessible through the website, Healers Universe, and more. So those are some up and coming things. And today, I also wanted to let you know last week I was away and without internet connection, so I was unable to do last week's live. So there is not something in your mailbox or on YouTube from last week. So today, I'd like to talk a little bit about what has been coming up energetically and also, and when I speak about energetically, I am referring to our collective earth project aspects, issues, innovations, as well as energetically what's coming from other non physical beings, non physical energies, those of the earth. It can be the spirit of water, it can be an animal teacher, it can be a particular collective consciousness theme, which is what we work with here, because it's all interwoven and interconnected, and there are either kind of group or joint themes that we're looking at as a whole, as a species, and or as a whole as a planetary conglomerate of beings involved in this Earth project, primarily in the evolution of this Earth. So it can entail many things. And we have a lot of helpers coming forward, but there are generally some aspects of human nature or aspects of the evolutionary process or a particular. I tend to not speak in the form of lessons and things that one must learn because that implies some sort of outer force requiring something of you as a soul, or that you have to accomplish something in order to advance, or expand, none of which I align with, nor is in the perspective of the work that I do. We are free souls with complete free will, and this is an exploration and an adventure and an opportunity for our souls widening or expansion in whatever we have chosen to explore, um, be it being in a human body, be it betrayal, be it power. There are so many, and so many variations on that theme, many of which those that are on a mastery course have already explored in other forms, in other lifetimes, from all different angles, and are here to kind of put a bow on it or to complete a wide exploration and close the file folder, or have explored all at a certain level, a dimensional level, let's say, and are now going up to a more refined and more subtle level of exploration of that same theme. And so that's directly related to your soul's project here, which also happens to dovetail with the evolution of this species and the many other species that are involved in this evolutionary process here on this planet and beyond, on a galactic level, as well as a universal level. And as you may have heard me mention before, the evolution of all of those levels simultaneously is pretty unheard of in any universe, at least to this extreme a leap and within such a short period of time. That's what makes this Earth project unique, and why you are so incredibly special and must needs be a very large, very wide, very experienced soul if you're here in any form, on any level. But as a human and doing seeking, spiritual seeking or expansion, then wow, just wow, you are an impressive soul. And the particular theme that has been coming up this past 10 days or so, maybe even 2 weeks, is very much about the human physical body. And there are so many ways and angles to look at that, and to explore the human body. Many people do not feel comfortable in the human body for a wide variety of reasons, and want to get out of that human body and feel that the non-physical or spiritual or energetic bodies are much more preferable, are more feel that they're more significant, or that they have more value, all of which has always been the opposite of what the perspective of my work is, and many people at this point. I had the great good fortune, the reason why I was away last week was to be at a conference with, or a workshop, whatever you want to call it, with the breathtakingly brilliant Greg Braden. If you don't know of him or have not read or listened to his work, I highly encourage you to do so. His latest book, which I'll show you in a moment, is called Pure Human. And in my view, it is pretty much a necessity for everyone to read or at least listen to some of his talks on the human body and the potential for this generation currently here to be, this latest generation, to be the last generation of pure humans, or um, actually, human biological form, without any modifications or additions technologically. Um, he spoke of, this is something I've been concerned about for many, many years before I was aware of Greg's emphasis on this. But I used to be an admirer and somewhat follower of the person who owns Tesla right now, the company Tesla, because of the wonderful innovations in a wide range of areas of science and technology that he was working in. And then there came a point in time when I observed a massive change in him, and I watched dark forces move in and kind of take over. Um, and since then, there has been a very concerted effort to uh, follow along a design and a theory of how the future of humans and humanity should be. Most of which, you may have heard as a technocrat. There is, I'll try to find it for you, but it's really based in game theory, which is interesting, a particular gamer's perspective of how humans evolve. Very radically different, opposite ends of the spectrum from what Greg Braden is speaking about, and um, always with him as a scientist, a spiritual a futurist, combining spirit and science. He always presents evidence as to what, cutting edge information. And the presentation that I attended last weekend was no different, as all these 27 years I've been reading his work and following his scientific progression, with explorations of ancient indigenous cultures, ancient cultures, non-indigenous or original cultures, and he brought a lot of that forward this last workshop, with the translations of both the Dead Sea Scrolls and a lot of the cuneiform tablets translations, and their creation stories, both creation stories, which I won't get into much. However, there is a great similarity between some of the movies, the popular movies that we all are familiar with, such as The Matrix and Jupiter Ascending. And if you haven't seen either of them, I highly recommend you do so for different reasons. Um, but we're at a split in the road, and according to, again, not only Greg Braden's information but others, we have a very, very short window here to make choices for and on behalf of our bodies that will allow us a human biological evolution with all of the inherent abilities and gifts and modifications that we can do with and for and in ourselves, rather than the reliance upon technology to do those things for us, which will then cause atrophy in our own abilities. Much like, I'm sure everybody's familiar with the appendix, and that supposedly we no longer need our appendix or our incisors, because we don't have to tear raw meat with our teeth, um, unless, of course, that's your pleasure. And so things will atrophy. It always reminds me of another very cute movie called Wall-E, WAL-E. And in that, again, a kind of, um, you know, disaster happens on the planet. Everyone has to leave. They live on ships or a ship, off planet, and have done so for generations. And their bodies, they no longer walk anywhere. They no longer obtain their food. It's all provided for them. And they really have very, very little ability physically. So, those of you who know I'm a cinephile, there's always wonderful examples, wonderful visuals, wonderful transmissions of particular energetics, or um, even the actual feel of different beings, different times in history or future, that can be accessed through movies and through the graphics and um, the visuals. So, just to touch on, I know that many of you have or are familiar with DNA, and the coding within DNA is one of the things that um, Greg has been speaking about for quite some time, and at this point feels that he has come to a culmination of 20 something years of work exploring the divinity within, and how that's actually evident in the body. And I'll just give you a very, very brief one of the ways in which he explained it, or he shared that, was that in our DNA, specifically in our DNA, there is a message, there is information. And when you utilize a science called gematria, that is not numerology, but in the four major ancient languages, each of them have letters that correspond to numbers. And again, this is all accessible. Please look it up. And in the four different ancient languages, Arabic, Hebrew, Sanskrit, and cuneiform, which is the ancient language of Sumeria. Each of them have this coding laid out, where a specific letter or a specific symbol within the language is corresponds to a number. And when you take the four, many of you are familiar with the four aspects of DNA, TACG, which, if I remember right, stands for guamine, guamine. Sorry for the translation, or the pronunciation. It's guanine, adenine, thionine, and cytosine. And each of those are made up of hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon, which are the four key or primary chemicals that our whole world is made up of, our bodies included. And each of those have a corresponding weight or mass on the periodic table. For example, hydrogen is, well, I can't remember that actually at the moment, but each of the four aspects of DNA do have corresponding numbers of hydrogen nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon atoms within them. For example, guanine has 5 hydrogen, 5 nitrogen, 1 oxygen, and 5 carbon. And you can go through, this is all very accessible information, of course. And when you lay those out, their corresponding weights, and look up the number that is cited in one of those 4 ancient languages, all 4 of them read the same wording, no matter which language you look it up in. And it is God eternal in the body. And it is fascinating to see this, not only in, it's in actually in each of them. Cytosine, guanine, they all have the corresponding letters that read out God eternal in the body. And what Greg was presenting was that we have this message within us because we are that divine. We are that capable of divine abilities. Of course, many of you are familiar with Jesus or Yeshua saying, all this and more you will do, which is why many see him as the great example rather than the great exception. And so if this is all within our bodies, it then becomes vital for us to protect and to provide for our bodies, our physical bodies, and by extension, our homes, our workspaces, everything that we physically come in contact with, that it be of the highest and best and purest, so that those aspects of our divinity are accessible to us with healing abilities, natural healing abilities, extensive intuitive abilities, the ability to literally create, changing matter from one thing into another. Jesus did this with wine and water into wine. There is nothing in physics right now that denies or negates the ability. Quite the contrary. The proof is in the ability to change matter. Recently, the past couple of weeks, a new form of light that can be converted into matter has been discovered. There are constant innovations and discoveries that confirm and affirm the fact that we are here and have everything at our command, everything at our beck and call, should we choose to tap into and utilize those divine capabilities, those divine abilities, those divine adjustments and modifications that we can make in the process of evolution, in the process of becoming the new human, if you will. And this became very apparent with one of my longtime shamanistic mentors that with my community we have traveled and explored countless worlds and realms and dimensions, traveled there, physically dialed our axes into other locations, energetics at will. This is what I've been practicing for over 20 years, 25 years. And this is what every one of my clients have come to be aware of. And at the end of a course of study, they are able to tap into and pull through those other existences to utilize in their daily lives. And So that's very exciting to me, and that's what I feel the more, how do I want to say this? I tend not to use hierarchical terms, but the more advanced souls that are here to complete a project, a soul project, and then have that capacity within them, because you must have a large enough and powerful enough container to be able to A, move in and out of other realities at will, and B, to be able to channel the energetics from those other existences into this reality, which is a pretty low frequency reality. So there has to be kind of a transducing down. And that can be done through our bodies and our psyches and our spiritual bodies, spiritual and energetic bodies. So we are at that edge right now. And if you want to speak, many of you know that I am a seer, watcher, expert in dark forces and the dark in all its many forms, whether it's shadow within us or whether it is off planet parties, entities that have a vested interest in not only this planet and all of its resources, but in humans as the greatest resource in the universe. Because we have those other existences within us. And I don't say lives because it can have been in many forms. I have traveled into, tapped into, turned into many other forms other than physical. So it is definitely within us. And those are incredible resources because they are directly connected to other places within the universe. So there is an active attempt to suppress and to control and to have access to those resources within us. And if we are unhealthy, in poverty or scarcity, have no freedom, are financially restricted, then the ability to access those resources within us become a great deal easier, if not automatic. So you'll notice in what's going on right now, a lot of the regulations controlling emissions, air emissions by industries, a lot of the regulations, again, that have been over the past many decades, multiple decades, have been made into laws, regulations, rules set out through the EPA, the FDA, different governmental bodies that make sure that our food and our air and our water and the materials that are used to make our homes, the materials that we find in our workplace, in our offices, health, you know, healthy and non-hazardous conditions in our workplaces, etc. And these are all being removed. On the surface, it can look like simply the ability to give industries more freedom to do what they want, how they want, when they want, with no consideration for humans, animals, land, flora, fauna, etc. on our planet. But if you're looking a little bit behind that, again, the attempt to control and oppress and dominate can be done much more easily, again, if we're unhealthy and we have to depend on one or two sources for means of restoring that health, rather than what many people are doing and or are attempting to even more so is to eat cleanly, to, care for your physical body, to make sure your water is filtered, purified, etc. And it's going to take a lot of effort and fight on our part to regain some of those protections and or increase them and or find alternatives. If the sources for your food are unhealthy, if you cannot necessarily don't have the funding for organic products, then many people, once again, like in COVID, were starting or expanding home gardens or even community gardens. um, I read recently of a city here in the United States, and a community or city communal garden feeds 1,800 people, I think, or more. So it is very feasible, very possible, and it is the way of the future, that we are sharing the burden, we're sharing the means, we're coming up with innovative ways of growing food, um, not only healthily, but in larger amounts with lesser land and resources. So it's all here. We have this ability, and I invite you to explore some of the ways that you feel disconnected or uncomfortable or unhealthy or unhappy in your physicality. Not only your physical body, but in your home or in your workspace, or that includes in relationships, and includes in our own psyche. Because from the perspective of this work, any detrimental, dangerous, limiting aspect in our physical world is sourced and at the basis of is a psycho-emotional, and below that even a spiritual reason. There it is. Everything about this evolutionary process, about our personal transmutation, transfiguration process, has to do with the expansion of our souls. Not any right or wrong, good or bad. Have complete and utter choice in to do this or not do this. But those of you who are here physically on this planet, and of course I'm not excluding the non-physical by any means, came because this is a very accelerated venue, a very accelerated environment within which you can accomplish a great deal of soul expansion in a very short period of time, now more accelerated than ever through this evolutionary leap. And of course, I'm sure you're not seeing anything speeding up, things, extremes happening in a very short period of time. But that's the opportunity for the resolution and the solutions and the advancement and the evolution of those aspects that no longer work for us as a species. So please explore any of those things that are coming up in your life that are keeping you from, impeding you from, limiting you from being, doing, feeling, achieving, growing in whatever way you would like to. Meeting those dreams and wishes that have been perhaps not even spoken within you. So, and again, if you've heard anything of my, whether you taken a class with me or a course or worked with me individually or listened to any of the YouTube videos, you know that I work from the perspective that not only do we have the ability within us to transmute and transfigure those pieces, becoming more of who we are humanly, but as a result, then have the ability to channel or access or become more of our divine self. As I've said many years, the more human you are, the more divine you are. And we have such a huge amount of help. Cutting edge information technology, engineering innovations, all day long, every single day. I am constantly receiving from journals of all sorts, biology, physics, chemistry, astronomy. The discoveries and the innovations are crazy. We have at this moment so many avenues of unlimited energy resourcing that makes our search for fossil fuels and minerals in the ground and the destruction of ecosystems and forests, etc., for energy resourcing is ridiculous. And these means are not that costly to develop on top of that. So it's all here. We have everything within us, and what is within us has enabled us to develop and come up with these amazing scientific breakthroughs and engineering and technological and chemical and biological advances, that we need not rely on technology within our body. We have everything within us. Now, in order to access that, you know from my work, that means exploring inside and going down and in to know thyself, to then therefore have thyself, to then therefore become and utilize all that you have and all that you are. So that's a little bit about what's going on this week. I had the great good fortune, as I said, to attend the Greg Braden conference and or workshop, and it was in an amazing setting down in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, which I've visited many different times. And the mineral baths there are not only physically healing, but very, very sacred. A means by which you can tap into not only your own physicality, but to commune with the earth and a form of water and minerals, and just a delicious way to again explore, come to know, heal, tap into divine aspects of you. So I highly recommend it. There's a lot of events there, an amazing farmers market on Sundays, spas, treatment centers. Just, I had the most wonderful rejuvenative treatments that allowed for on either side of the workshop. And it really was a special way of being with the body. We were also in the woods with such silence and beauty. And those of you who know, I have a kitty that travels with me. Callie was elated, so we were in the woods together. I will post pictures. But you all know the healing power of nature and the healing power of the natural world for our bodies, for our minds, for our spirit, for our emotions. And that needs to be protected, for that is the body of the earth. And so we're going to have to kind of put our noses to the grindstone for the next few years and really create new means by which we can protect both our physical temple, the temple of the earth, all of which houses the temple of our spirits. So, one of those, ways of healing, you all have yours, and, that's another kind of growth or outgrowth of the self exploration, is tapping into what to eat, when to eat it, what to drink, how much to drink, what physical exercise or physical activity you need to do. There are countless methods, countless plans, countless designs for that, but your body and you know the exact right one for you. And I'm not talking about a plan, I'm talking about the right food, the right water, the right fluid, the right exercise, the right timing for your body, cycles, rhythms. All of that information is within us. And the more you have yourself, the more you know yourself, rather, the more you have yourself, the more you're in your body, in your divinity, the easier that is to know, to intuit, to hear, so to speak, your intuitive or your helper's advice. And one of those ways that you know that I feel is very, very powerful is the Young Living essential oils, because they were planted, cared for, harvested, collected, processed in such a way that it maintains the chi and the wisdom of the plants or trees or flowers, which allows for a collaboration and cooperation with you and with your body and with your intuition. And another, ease of application, that was one of my go-to reasons, or one of my reasons for choosing the oils, is because I didn't have to worry about not eating and taking a supplement and making sure I had it with food, etc. And I grew up with supplements and adore them and utilize them every day. But the oils can address aspects of us physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically simultaneously. So I find them to be just precisely needed in this evolutionary process. And I encourage you for expanding your health, for your home, for your children. Those of you who know me know that all of my four-legged feline children have taken oils internally. I put them on them. I utilize them in their daily life so that they are healthy and happy and their best and highest. So we're just going to ask right now what the oils have to say in regard to our bodies and in regard to this day, and that combination of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual and energetic aspects of us. And again, those of you who have worked with me know that this is one of the, just about the only kinesthetic access to information that I use. And the first oil is an oil blend called Gathering, and that would be going on your core, which is right in the middle of your body. If you were to draw a midline, that is where your essence sits, the essence of you throughout all time, which you take with you. It is your soul's essence that lifetime after lifetime it continues with you and expands or grows as you explore. And so they're saying that as you gather in to and with and through the essence of you, and again, I'm not looking at the oils until they're pulled. I am getting information through my body as to where it would go on the physical body. So as you gather in through and with your very essence, it will enable you to clear away anything that is blocking your ability to stand in and speak your truth. Thereby enabling you to surrender. This is an oil blend called Surrender. To surrender to your own innate. That would be going on your innate, which is about 3 finger widths below your diaphragm. And that's your direct line of communication with your soul. Thereby anchoring into, this is Rose, into the highest and purest frequency of you. Bringing you to forgive any aspect or judgment or criticism, you know, we all have those loops, of who you are and your standing, your place in the world. One last one, it seems. And in this way can live a life of sacred joy. This is sacred frankincense, and it always has the characteristics of very, just a high frequency of joy. Not even the joy that we're familiar with as humans, but a very high, sacred, pure joy. And one last, sorry, I always have to listen. And in this way, you bring the legacy of your heart to yourself and the world. So, lovely message today. We have a few minutes to drop in a little bit more deeply, because oftentimes as I'm speaking, the energies are here, the energetics are being transmitted, and you may feel them. And now I encourage you to just sit and settle into your body. And there's really nothing you need do except allow your body and your energy field to do what they know how to do. And that means kind of getting out of the way. And we get out of the way, so to speak, by not intending, not focusing, not having any goals, not having any agenda, but instead to merely feel what you feel, physically, energetically, emotionally, however feel comes up. And I generally invite clients and students to say to themselves or out loud, I am asking and I am allowing my body. I am asking and I am allowing my energy field. I am asking and I am allowing my wider self, that's your soul self. I am asking and I am allowing my emotional body. I am asking and I am allowing my guides, teachers, masters, helpers, angels, whatever term feels comfortable to you. I am asking and I am allowing all aspects of me, all times of me. I am asking and I am allowing all of me to join me here and now. So that I may drop down and in to who I am, enabling me to connect, communicate, and commune with all that I am physically, and all that I am divinely. And as you are in this process of allowing, invite your breath to guide you for a few moments. Breathing as you do, in your way, your rhythm, your pace. And should you so choose, thereafter, I would invite you to explore some deep, slow, steady breaths in and out. Simply noticing, simply feeling what and how much and how widely you experience that breath. For as it moves throughout the circulatory system, your lungs, your heart, ultimately to every single cell in your body. How wondrous that something we do so unconsciously, and consciously in this case, can reach, must reach, must move through, must exchange with, cooperate with, and collaborate with every cell in our bodies. and how in and through that very process we are connecting, communicating, cooperating, collaborating, and communing with the earth itself and her many manifestations, trees, plants, animals, weather systems, elements, that is then from us expanding from us and allowing for the recycling of converting back to usable oxygen, our very life's breath. So simple, so automatic, so unconscious even. And you may feel yourself not only relaxing but dropping down and in to and through your own body, into and through your own inner verse. Wherein, should you choose to allow your innate to take you to or bring to you the exact right energetics and combination of for your optimum health and well-being in this very moment. For as a unique and individual human being with all the aspects and factors and relationships and experiences, the tailored energetics for you in this moment is yours and yours alone. Even though I am aware that there are some very strong galactic level energetics coming in, again, it will be the exact right amount, the exact right frequency, the exact right type for your system, your current challenges and benefits. For certainly, one size does not fit all. No need to track or label or identify. But simply allowing yourself to take in, experience, feel, sensate anything that might appear or nothing. If you're simply feeling sleepy and want to soften and allow yourself to drop away from consciously following the words, is a very concentrated, very powerfully substantial energetics today, so a little bit goes a long way. And other energetics that have been very present this week are coming in with very very future potential and or already known and utilized within the galaxy solutions, health, responses, solutions. So particularly if you have any physical challenges going on right now, just ask and allow your field to open up and take in, drink in some of these very advanced healing energetics. Nothing you need do, no efforting on your part, no directing. Your body, your energy field, your innate know exactly what is right for you. When, where, how much, and at what rhythm or pace. The Fabrini are here. It is a civilization so named through the Star Trek world, but they represent extremely advanced medical knowledge and capabilities. So in conjunction with that knowledge and your desire, your belief, your knowing, that both what we term miracles or spontaneous healing, remission can and does absolutely occur. Allow this advanced knowledge of medicine, healing, the human form, and the human physical potential energy sensitive may feel this in various areas of your body, anchoring into your system. So that not only in this moment is healing occurring, but will do so should you listen to this again and again. And or I'm also hearing that there are time capsules being placed within your system to titrate the energies in for a smooth and regulated healing process. And with that, I'm going to invite you to allow a couple of last deep drinks of this energy or combination of energetics. And without interference of your brain or will, I invite you to feel your particular speed, rate, pace, rhythm of moving from what has been a less physical experience back to a more physical experience as defined by this dimension, this planet, this point in time. And of course, you're always welcome to stay and sit in this energy, knowing that when and as you do decide to be more physicalized in this time-space dimension, all will be consolidated and physicalized so that you are feeling whole and complete. And I encourage you to please reach out. I am happy to ask the oil masters what particular oils may be ideal for you given any physical or emotional or career, work-related relationship related challenges you may be having, because as I mentioned before, they address all levels simultaneously, and or how to keep your home and surroundings clean in a healthy way. Again, these are Young Living essential oils, which are very different than what you would access in stores and shops. So please contact me for any of the information that I shared, references, what have you. I'll try to find the articles, or certainly the book by Greg Braden is Pure Human. I'm pointing over there because it happens to be sitting on and please reach out should you decide that you really do want to evolve and transmute and transfigure the aspects of your current life that are stopping you from living fully, completely out as who you are in the ways that you desire. And until next time, as always, it is with the deepest of honor, gratitude, and love for your presence here on the planet. Be well. Bye-bye.